Hi, I'm Bonnie Browning with the American Quilter Society, and today I'm here with Margaret Solomon Gunn, who has won the Handi Quilter Wall Longarm Machine Quilting Award. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Margaret.
Bonnie. It's great
Well,
to be
I
here.
know that everybody always wants to know right off the bat is how long did it take you to make this beautiful quilt?
Start to finish, I probably spent 8 or 9 months on it. The piecing kind of in sporadically in between working on client commitments and other quilts. I never work on just one quilt at a time. I get bored. The quilting, I think I would give it 100 to 120 hours. It's fairly dense and fairly detailed.
Okay, so when you spend that much time quilting on a quilt, 100 to 125 hours, that's a lot of time. If you did it full time, you're talking 3 or 4 weeks doing it full time, right? At 40 hours a week?
Yeah, you're right.
Sure.
I mean, I put it on and take enough time to stabilize, do all the stabilization on it. These blocks needed to be stabilized so that you can build. This is a heavy fabric and it will shift when you quilt it. So I go through the basics of it. I take it off for a few days and do things that make money. Then I put it back on when I have time.
Okay, and so how long in a stretch would you stand at your machine and quilt?
I generally quilt an hour in the morning before my kids are up, and then another as much as 6 hours, but not continuously. Maybe 3 hours, take a break, then go back for a couple more. It's not large, so I might choose to do one section and do all of this on these and come back and rethink where I'm going with it.
Now, you told me that this was the first quilt you ever made using just solid fabric. Why was that? Why did you choose solids?
I don't know. I like color, and this for me is a departure from my usual color choices of green and purple and fuchsia. But with the coming of more modern quilts, I wanted to play with the solids a little bit.
Okay,
and
and
see
so
where
did
it
you
went.
find that kind of a stretching exercise for you?
No, I didn't like it much at all.
Oh gosh! But you ended up with a very beautiful quilt. So let's talk a little bit about the quilting designs,
Sure.
because you didn't quilt with the style of the block necessarily.
Yes.
You quilted the center one, so that it is really all just done as a block. But then let's talk about some of these other designs and what
Sure.
made you choose them.
Well, one of the things that I fight with, it's a struggle for me as a quilter because I love the intricate piecing as much as I love intricate quilting, is when you're making a small quilt, how do you do intricate quilting on it? And I find if you just come in here and quilt each block and the piecing of the block, it gets boring. So I choose to do what I call an overlay style of quilting. I'm ignoring the fact that I have this framed out sashing on it. And I choose to put these arcs. It helps to soften the harsh piecing of the stars. Same thing with this. I mean, this is right on top of all this piecing. So what? That's all part of my plan. It just kind of draws you into the center with this overlay look. These interlocking stars are, again, very structured and rigid. But I like to carry that into the quilting because it helps to make the quilting part of the piecing and part of the design on the entire unit.
It really gives you some wonderful secondary designs
It
then
does.
in your quilt, doesn't
It
it?
makes it look like the piecing and the quilting belong together. And I like to use a variety of different fillers in here just to keep it playful and light. The cross hatching is always a signature that I like to use. Few feathers, it softens it a little as well as the curves.
It also gives you the straight lines of the piecing and the curved lines of the quilting. It gives you a good juxtaposition of the designs.
Exactly. And that's sort of why I think I chose to go in here with these feathers. I have used feathers in other places, lightly, not gracefully like a lot of quilts will take. But
Okay, so tell us how long you've been quilting.
I've been quilting 4.5 years. I've been piecing since I was her size, little, but I got a long arm 4.5 years ago, and I've been going full force.
Okay, now I know you haven't said it yet, but I know this is the Handi Quilter Award, and
It is.
what model of machine do you stitch on?
What else? Handi Quilter Fusion.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this quilt?
This quilt is exclusively hand-guided in its quilting. It's the first small quilt I've ever made. I don't know what else.
And I would just say, for the benefit of our audience, she did a marvelous job with this little teeny tiny piping right at the edge of her border too. It's very even and nice and straight. And when you use a bright color like that, it needs to be, doesn't it?
It has to be. Well, that's one of the signatures that I've come to figure out how to do pretty well, and I put these on most of my quilts, and it's just a nice pop of color. And for me, it's important to bring everything back, to bring your eye back to the middle of the quilt. The rays of the quilting do that. The red, as well as this dark brown fabric, all kind of pull you back in, because as a viewer, I need to be able to see. I need a focal point on a quilt, and I assume other people probably do too.
Well, congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
Margaret.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful quilt, and I know everyone is going to have a great time looking at it here at AQS Quilt Week in Paducah.
Thank you.